Military personnel of Reddit, what's the best / weirdest / funniest punishment you've seen handed down by a superior? Here. In our unit we had one guy that would constantly hum songs. Well, one day our co had enough of his behavior, so he tells him to report to his locker. So he goes to his locker and stands in front of it. Co tells him to get inside the locker. When he does, he shuts and locks the door with him inside. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a quarter and pushes it through the vent holes and tells the guy to start singing and tells him that whenever someone puts a quarter in the slot he was to sing another song. This went on for 6 hours. The guy made around $15 in quarters and we were all in pain from laughing at him. Needless to say, he acquired the name Jukebox and never hummed again. What are they going to do? Bend my dog tags? Take my birthday away? Chuckle chuckle. UHM. Yep, apparently a Navy captain did just that once on purpose by deliberately sailing parallel to the international data line, then slipping across it right on midnight. Tomorrow suddenly became yesterday, and no birthday for you this year, ya chucklehead. During Beast at Yusufa, one of my fellow cadets started laughing at one of our flight NCOs whistling that to the left song. Carter went off on him. Basic cadets knew. Are you laughing? Yes, sir. Why are you laughing? Do you know what happened today? No. See. Bruce Willis died today. Do you hate Bruce Willis? No, sir. Then why are you laughing at his death? No excuse. See. Today is a day of national tragedy. We need to memorialize his death. Pick up one of those rocks. Does so. This is now the Bruce Willis Memorial Rock. What should we name it? Sir, I do not know. We are gonna name it Bruce. From now until the end of basic, you will carry Bruce with you at all times. If I ask you how Bruce is doing, you will show me Bruce and sound off yippee-ki-yay, sir. Do you understand? Yes, sir. How's Bruce? Yippee-ki-yay, sir. In Usami basic training, one soldier lost his canteen and asked the drill sergeant if he had seen it. The drill was angry at this for some reason and made the private wander around for a few hours asking all kinds of inanimate objects if they had seen his canteen. So things like, truck, have you seen my canteen? Got caught on basic with my iPad, and I ran around the camp for near 2 hours with my iPad over my head shouting I'm a stupid F***K for bringing my iPad in the field as the enemy was attacking our camp. I then proceeded to put my iPad in a plastic bag, then taped it onto my helmet, and from there on I responded to private iPad. When my instructor shouted, play, I had to sing. Skip, I had to switch song, etc. It lasted 2 weeks, even during the night, when I had 1 to 2 hours to sleep. Guy in basic dropped the biggest turd you've ever seen in the commode. So he shows the drill sergeants, who then make him suit up in full combat gear, weapon and all, and guard it all night. The whole halt. Who goes there? Pretty amusing. My brother told me that when he was in basic, a drill sergeant yelled at this guy to beat his face, meaning to do push-ups. Said guy had no clue it meant that and promptly punched himself in the face really hard and fell to the ground. The drill sergeant had to walk that one off, and my brother said you could hear him laughing hysterically as he walked behind a building. Not totally relevant, but I figured I'd share. Marine boot camp. We had a guy that somehow got his watch through the indoc. They take all your crap when you first get there. Well, the DIS found out he had it when they saw him wearing it one day, so they put him in the squad bay trash can and put the lid on it. Every time they walked by and kicked it, he'd pop out with his watch and yell, "Sir, the time on deck is 0945. And then go back into his can like the freaking Grouch from Sesame Street. It was really hard not to laugh at that. I was in a gender mixed company in basic. The third floor of the barracks was split with females on one half and males on the other. Males were not allowed in the female half and vice versa. My platoon was out back practicing throwing grenade bodies, and a window on the female side of the third floor opened, and a male sneaked out of the window onto the ledge. It was immediately obvious to everyone, including our drill sergeant, that he had been in there messing around with a female, and a drill sergeant must have come down the hall, forcing him to get out onto the ledge so he wouldn't get caught. Our drill sergeant looked at the guy for a minute and then yelled really sarcastically, "Don't do it, private. You have lots to live for." Then they put him on suicide watch and made him hand over his belts and tie and shoelaces and everything that he could hang himself with, and made him drag his newly bare mattress out into the hallway next to the fire guard desk and sleep out there every night until we graduated 4 weeks later. And they made his battle buddy sleep on the floor next to him for the first week. A fellow lance corporal at the time let out a sneeze. Huge snot rocket pops out and lands on his cheek. I mean, just one beast of a thing. My sergeant standing in front of him talking to him while this happened let out a "what the fuck you nasty bitch," put it back, and right back up it went. Funniest shit I have seen. In the Marine Corps, when we really fucked up, we would go fishing. It is where you squat down like you're sitting in a chair and hold a shovel out in front of you in the air like a fishing pole. Then you just sit there for a long time, and if the shovel would start to droop down, my sergeant would grab the tip of the shovel and start to shake it and make me pretend I was reeling in the big one. One time me and a buddy got in trouble together, so they made him fish and me flop around on the deck like a fish he had already caught for almost an hour. One of my friends from my first base and I were swapping basic stories, and I think he had the scariest. On the first day of 3rd week they hadn't performed up to standards, and the MTI told them he'd be staying late that night to try to fix them. The MTI calls his wife to let her know he'd missed dinner and would be home late, and she blew the fuck up. She was screaming at the MTI about how he's just using his job as an excuse, how he doesn't even care about her, and while all this is going on the MTI is just pleading with her. She hangs up on him, and the MTI looks at the flight with this expression of cold hate and says he was going to his office for a minute to think of an appropriate way to punish the flight for their shit. Basic training is a lot of talk. Them tis can part you until your body gives out and scream at you, but they can't actually hurt you. In that moment though, as the room waited for the MTI to come back, they weren't so sure that would be the case. He was going to make them pay, and my friend said that was the only time in basic he felt true fear. It turns out, it was all an act. The MTI had had that genuinely happen during a previous flight, and it had terrified them into compliance so well he got his wife to pull it off every flight afterwards. When someone got caught going the wrong way or cutting in the chow line in OSIT, basic for infantry, the drill SGTS would make them wonder about that fucker random repeating beep beep. Wrong way. It was totally quiet otherwise, and they seemed like broken robots. On the final FTX of a basic I was teaching a few years ago, one of less brilliant troops decided to take his laptop, which he'd smuggled into the field for this exact purpose, with him into a blue rocket porta potty, so he could jerk off to obnoxiously loud Asian porn. The idiot left his C9 on the wrong side of the door, though, and forgot it there when he came out. One of my Jack's junior NCOs found it and brought it back to the CP, and I naturally brought Buddy in to explain himself. The smartest trooper Luke decided it'd be clever to explain to us exactly what he'd been doing, not that there'd been any doubt, in the hopes that we'd be too embarrassed to do anything about it. I drew up an access list and made him stand watch on the Blue Rocket tactical shitter for the next 8 hours with explicit instructions not to let anyone in until they signed a visitor's log. We all had fun watching the brigade sergeant major tell him to get the fuck out of my way before I shit in your hat. Boot. One kid on fire watch failed to notice the D coming on deck, which means you immediately salute and report your post, so the D ran up to the rifle rack, smacked it, and yelled bam. You're dead. He tried to respond, but was cut off by the D. You're a ghost now. You can't talk. Go act like a ghost. Then the kid had to wander around the squad bay for the rest of his 2-hour fire watch acting like a ghost, and he took that responsibility with a stride. Plenty of ridiculous I'm a gooest noises and fucking with people's racks. We were all laughing our asses off for the next hour till our senior got pissed. Another from basic was a private was caught walking to the showers without wearing his clothes, just holding his towel and walking nude. The showers were in the same bay, and it was just males in the bay, but a female drill from another platoon came in and saw him and made him drop and give 50 push-ups while nude. We were deployed in Iraq and a guy was pissing in water bottles instead of walking to the bathroom at night. This is a common thing, but this guy wasn't getting rid of the bottles. He'd keep them underneath his cot for some reason. When the first sergeant found this out, he made the guy report to the commander while holding all of his piss bottles in a box in front of him. They tore into this guy while he was holding a box of his own urine. Officers can't punish soldiers with any punishment that doesn't follow guidelines. That said, they can be ordered some stupid things. My friend got ordered to move a box weighing about 50 pounds from the barracks to the shower every 2 minutes for 2 hours. The officer's reason for it was because he didn't know where to put it and was trying to decide if it should be at the barracks or the shower. In the end, he ended up telling him to load it up in the truck. Week 1 in army basic training, we had a soldier ask for an omelette in chow line, which was not allowed because there was absolutely no time to make custom omelettes for every single basic training soldier. The cooks started making the omelette when a drill sergeant asked what the hell was going on. The basic training soldier replied, "Go around, drill sergeant, I'm waiting on an omelette." Needless to say, this was the wrong thing to say and do week 1 in basic training. Our platoon motto was henceforth "Go around, drill sergeant, I'm waiting on an omelette," and the basic training soldier was henceforth named Private Omelette. Yusuf here. I'm sure there are better ones than this repressed in my memory somewhere, but this one stands out as the funniest. In basic, if you got pictures in the mail, the T had to look through them to make sure they weren't porn or whatever. So people are handing him pictures to look through, and he's looking through them, feet up on the desk, Ray-Ban wraparounds up on his forehead, chillin', and in one of them, it's the trainee in question with friends, throwing up West Side. T asks, "West Side?" Trainee says, "Yes sir." T replies, "On your face." Trainee starts doing push-ups. T looks through the pictures a little more, looks down at the trainee, and says, "East Side, motherfucker. We were required to wear dog tags, but keep them tucked inside our shirts at all times, and some idiot was walking around with his hanging out and got them spotted by a particularly vindictive T. Vindictive T told him to start pushing. No, do not put your dog tags away. Every time they touch the ground and ding, you say ding. Fries are done." Friend of mine was randomly placed in a Spec Ops flight, which is usually a flight full of aspirant combat controllers, parajumpers, etc, but this one wasn't completely full, so they backfilled with some non-Spec Ops folk. Anyhow, people trying to be in Spec Ops jobs have to pass what are essentially the regular part standards before they can even show up to basic pass test, so by about week 4, push-ups as a punishment wasn't doing anything to anyone. Instead, the T would single out whoever messed up, go to their wall locker, and start unrolling and unfolding their meticulously hand-rolled and wrinkle-free t-shirts and socks and things. A guy I worked with had a habit of falling asleep at his desk. He was a real scumbag. Unfortunately, he was also a 1-star general's son. They made him sit at his desk with one of those exercise yoga ball things. The fucker still fell asleep, but he would hit his head on the desk or fall over. He also decided to tell his supervisor he had an appointment, but instead took a nap in his room. They called the cops on him and had him arrested for dereliction of duty. Fun stuff. In basic, when going to throw out some trash, left my rifle, which you are not supposed to do. Myself and 2 of my buddies had to hold on to our assault packs in one hand like a shield and long sticks in the other like a spear. Then we had to stack up in a line on a tree and push with our shields for 5 minutes with our spears raised yelling walkers. Apparently the Spartans did this for training. And apparently if I don't have my rifle in a combat situation, I will need to know how to do this. I have an opposite story where we punished our superior. When I was in South Korea in the mid-2000s, we had an absolutely cunt of a lieutenant. He walked around like his shit didn't stink. Thought he knew everything there was to know. Pretty much like most LTS. One weekend a bunch of us were walking back from the PX, loaded up with beer and snacks for the weekend. Like each of us had at least a case of beer and a few bags each. Hands were totally full. Our LT walks past us, and we nodded and said sir instead of saluting. Most officers won't make you put down all your shit just to salute. At least the good ones. This guy flips out about us not saluting and proceeds to part the fuck out of us for about 30 minutes. After that it was on. Anytime we saw this guy, we would grab everyone we could, form a line with about 20 feet distance between each person, and walk towards him. He would have to salute every single one of us. It didn't matter where he was when we saw him. We had about 20 soldiers be lining towards him just to salute. The best was when he was on his cell phone, cause he would have to put it down every 10 seconds just to salute all of us. This went on for about 3 weeks, him saluting everyone all the time every single day. He finally got tired of it and asked us not to salute him anymore.